World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Live from Soul City, Good Morning Community. Good Morning Community is a platform where members of the community can find out more about small businesses and community-based organizations, how to get involved, volunteer, or donate, as well as some of the resources and services they provide. My name is Eartha Watts Hicks. I am the CEO of Eartha Tone Books, publisher of Love Changes, Graffiti Mural, and A Planner is a Girl's Best Friend, as well as a freelance writer, editor, and PR writer and affiliate for blackpr.com, as well as executive editor at Harlem World Magazine. I am your host, and today we have two very, very special guests. Simone Monet Walls is an entertainment professional and co-founder of Future Executives, Inc., an organization that has empowered youth since 1989. Known as a global connector, Simone has championed opportunities for young people through jobs, technology, workshops, international partnerships, and Simone has supported African nations in advancing technology, tourism, and the arts, and was twice invited to the White House under President Obama. A lifetime member of the United Nations Association and NCNW. She now advocates for global equity, health, and empowerment. Her local efforts include fundraising, food drives, and community programming. In 2025, Benny, the Association of Black Educators of New York, honored Monet as a woman of distinction. Welcome, Monet.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Also, we have as a guest, Ms. Judy C. Andrews. And Ms. Judy C. Andrews received a Master's of Arts in English and Creative Writing and a Bachelor's of Arts in Liberal Arts and Sciences from the City College of New York, one of our favorite institutions here in New York. And she has worked as an educator, freelance writer, editor, and children's advocate. Her historical, fictional, thrilling novels, An Ocean of Jewels and A Gift to Treasure, are a reflection of her Gullah Geechee heritage. Her most recent work, The Gathering of Gemstones, a poetry collection published during the 2020 global pandemic, explores the themes of love, hope, and peace in an ever-changing world. You can connect with Ms. Judy C. Andrews at judyc.andrews on Instagram, and you can connect with Ms. Simone Monet Walls at It's Monet.
It is Monet.
It is Monet. Got it. At It is Monet. Welcome, Monet, and welcome, Judy.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so today's topic is one that's kind of close to my heart because it helps us to find people that help us to get where we're supposed to be, because sometimes we really don't know, because I understand that success doesn't happen in a vacuum. So finding your tribe is today's topic. Now, success is really a solo journey. Behind every breakthrough is a circle of support, people who uplift, advise, challenge, and celebrate you. Whether you're launching a business, writing a book, or navigating a personal growth journey, having a tribe of like-minded individuals can help make all the difference in the world. These are folks who offer encouragement, share resources, and hold you accountable and tell you the truth. And most importantly, genuinely want to see you win. But finding that tribe, even finding that one person, that's a journey within itself. And these are two very, very special women that are dear to my heart, and why I invited them today to discuss this topic, because they do it naturally. So our next now, our question for today is, how did you find your tribe? And let's start with Judy.
Well, when we think of a tribe, we think of a group of people who are part of our culture, our lifestyle, our heritage, our history. Um, so I found my tribe in many different ways because there were many different places where my tribe existed. One of them, because I'm a writer, was through the Harlem Writers Guild. And the people there were so fantastic. I had been a member, I joined in the 1980s. I want to talk about my age, but back then, we had this organization of extremely extraordinary African American authors who also lived through many years of segregation, racism, and some even went as far back as Jim Crow. So we were able to connect and learn from these wonderful people in a way that I had never done before after graduating, from college, and working in the publishing industry on the lower levels. I wasn't with the big five, but on the lower levels, it was really difficult because I was always the only one, if you know what I mean. um, it was difficult to find a group of people who could encourage you in your professional life. You have your girlfriends and your friends and your people, but when you are working in an industry, you need people to support you and mentor you. And through the Harlem Writers Guild, which was one of the organizations, I found so many wonderful African American people, as well as people from the African diaspora, like Africa and the Caribbean, who were there to support my work and encourage me. Even though I joined in the 80s, I didn't really publish anything until 2006. But I went to their homes. They took me out on vacations. I learned about Sag Harbor and housing, buying your own home and things that could uplift me as well as the community and teach me about being in an existence that really did not want me there. Even though we've been here since 1619, there are many circumstances, you see what's going on today where we are not highlighted. And the only way that we can be highlighted is through entertainment. And our young people have to know that that's not the only way that you can be highlighted. You have to really hone your skills, and you have to look for your gifts. Everyone has a gift, everyone has a talent, and you have to use them to help other people. And when you're using those talents, they will bring you to your tribe because the universe opens it up to you. It opens it up to you in a way that, that you can exist in a world that encourages you to thrive and succeed.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
my
Judy.
tribe began after college with the Harlem Writers Guild, and I've been there ever since.
Thank you, Judy. That's a marvelous account of your experience. And Monet, Please share, how do you find your tribe?
So I am a little offbeat. I won't say that I ever really had a tribe for to say. I will say that I journey, I walk a path, and people along the way sort of drop into me. And I would say since kindergarten, I remember my kindergarten teacher. I'm going to be naming names here. Miss Katz, she made me really excited about letters. And from there, in sixth grade, Mrs. Rosenberg said, "You're going to be a great writer." And just that was it. I was like, this is it, and I ended up getting skipped. Went to Texas, had a horrendous start to sort of being out of New York City and going to a place in the 70s. Yes, I'm dating myself. Right after the civil rights movement, and you're like thrown into Texas, dirt roads and pickup trucks. Ooh, what fun. But, ended up coming back here, but what she said always stuck with me. And I didn't know that I am a writer at large. I've written successful legal briefs as a pro se. I've written people's resumes. I've written for magazines. I still write, but and I had a diary that I've kept, that I used to keep for decades. So I think that my tribe was really people that I met along the way. When I was in college, I knew I wanted to be, before I even got to college, I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment business. I kind of was around it my whole life. I would say my grandmother encouraged me, my aunt encouraged me. They knew people in the industry, BB King, Teddy Pendergrass. My grandmother actually managed a group, the Express, that she had shows for in different places like Atlantic City. She had a private phone in our house that no one could touch. That was her business phone. So I kind of grew up, I would say my grandmother was the first piece of my tribe. But like, I want to be like that. I want to be boss lady. You know what I mean? Because my grandmother, we're talking, 70s, or late 70s. She was boss. She was boss. So, and that was not common, especially someone who migrated from Virginia, to New York. She really made me excited about entrepreneurship. And, my dad, I'm a daughter of a Black Panther. He was part of the civil rights movement. I mean, I'm sort of like a Forrest Gump kind of thing. So, Forrest Gump is running, and as he's running, or, he's catching, people are coming into his life. That's kind of how I see it. So I wouldn't say that people I wouldn't say I'm part of a tribe per se, because I do have a lot of different facets, but I do have people who I interact with along the way that have helped me tremendously shape and coordinate and organize my thoughts into something meaningful.
Wow. Wow. Um, um, I love how you put that, and I've known you for a number of years. So my experience of you is that you were always a powerhouse. You were always brilliant, um, and I think that kind of energy allows the people that gravitate to you to grow with you, because you're amazing. And I
Thank
feel the
you.
same way, also about Miss Judy here. Um, and I think that oftentimes, in just being who we are, we don't realize how many lives we touch and how many people we impact, and and each of you have a way of just impacting others just by how you naturally exist in the world. So I'm going to go into a share, um, for me, which was cultivating our Sisterhood International Association, which was, I had gone to a spiritual retreat with my mom. We had gone away over the weekend to a resort hotel for a conference, a spiritual conference. And I met this amazing young lady who was an administrator at NYU, and her name was Miss Lois Reddick. And we were talking about what our plans were for the future. And I said, well, I'm trying to be a writer. And she was like, that's amazing. I think you're going to be an amazing writer. And she had shared with me her plan, or like a blueprint for how God can help you achieve your goals. And I have my journal there. So I was writing all through my journal as she spoke these words. Right. And I said, well, what is your goal? And she goes, well, I want to launch a nonprofit. And I said, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Right. So we exchanged information. And, I got home and I thought about it. And I said, wow, that was such a wonderful thing that she did. She sat down and shared with me, a blueprint for God helping you achieve your goals. I said, well, let me just, write her a check to get her started with this nonprofit, because nonprofits need money. Let me just write her a check. So I wrote her $100 check, and I thought nothing of it. Right. So fast forward sometime later, my birthday rolled around, and I tend to get the birthday blues. Lately, I've been living it up. The birthday. I've been having so much fun for my birthday lately, but back then I would get the birthday blues, and I would kind of be down in the dumps and wouldn't want to do anything, wouldn't want to hang out, wouldn't want to call anybody, and would literally plan nothing, but wouldn't really necessarily buy myself anything new. I just kind of get into this kind of doldrums. So she called me one day and she goes, hi. And I said, hi. I said, oh, wow, good to hear from you. She goes, yeah. She goes, you know what? You were the first person to send me a check, a donation for my nonprofit. I said, oh, well, you were just such a beautiful spirit that day. I just felt compelled to start you off with something. If you're starting it, might as well give a donation. And she goes, well, I started the nonprofit. Now we have a small group of women, and we're organizing a boat ride, a gospel boat ride, and chicken and waffles breakfast, with some gospel music. And if you're free to go on September 24th, I have a complimentary ticket for you. I said, on September 24th? And she's like, yeah. I was like, this is my birthday. Right. So, in a nutshell, it was like I had spent like so many years as a stay-at-home mom that, I kind of felt like I was in a cocoon, and like nobody, I forgot who I was. It was like, I'm Barney in pajamas and baby food and applesauce. I'm not this fabulous person I used to be before I had babies, So the fact that she, number one, introduced me to the network that was part of Cultivating Our Sisterhood International Association, and all the women were executives, Morgan Stanley, New York Times, this, that, and the other. And here I am. And I was like, I'm trying to write a novel and I have a part-time job, but just being in the company of women working towards a goal, working towards accomplishing something either for self and for community, achieving your own goals, but having others help you achieve your goals, I think is very, very important. Yes, let's have an initiative where we all do an initiative, but to foster that growth, not laterally, I think it's necessary. And I think that as women, oftentimes Black women just do that for each other, because we're there to pick each other up. Everybody else.
That hasn't been my experience. I would say that I don't have a tribe, and so the books in me, the poetry that I have laying around, has never been published. I would say that I don't have that, and that's probably I'm just now. I just met someone who we correspond every now and again, and she's been very encouraging. But I would say this is the first time in my life that I've had a woman encourage me about my writing. Now, there have been very instrumental. I mentioned Miss Katz and Miss Rosenberg. Fred Jackson is the reason why I'm in the industry. Toy Green was the reason why I got my first job, and so I there are women in there Miss Ketley, my high school teacher or my high school counselor, was the reason why I got through some traumatic situations in high school. There were people who dropped and
Mm-hmm.
poured into me, but literally they kind of
Mm-hmm.
dropped and they left. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
not left me, but just left my life. Like I graduated. I, think like just dropped, hey, here's the seed, grow it. See you later, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had like you and Judy have had, and Judy. Wow. So like you said in the 80s, and you said you didn't publish till 2006. And I said, okay, I don't feel so bad because I have not published anything yet. And like I said, I'm a writer
Mm-hmm.
at large. I started writing short stories in sixth grade, to the point where my teacher like sat me down. She was like, and her eyes were all watery. I could feel her.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
understand what I was feeling because I was in sixth grade, but I knew I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling passion from somebody, my teacher, that told me I was going to be an excellent writer, and I believed her.
Yep.
And that was it. So she's propelled me to write, but to actually move it to the public has been something, and I write here and there. I mean, I wrote for magazines. Don't get me wrong. I was one of the first female writers at the Source. I did some contributing to Vibe. I've done contributing in other, magazines. But not like the way I think I should have. And I don't want to have any
Mm-hmm.
regrets, but I'm just saying. So that tribe is important. And I don't think I never really had that around my craft of writing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I think with me, it took a village because, I grew up in foster care. So I basically had people, angels watching over me, you know, throughout my life. And the first angel was a pastor. And I was playing run, catch, and kiss with my friends in Brooklyn around Atlantic Avenue. And I was about 7. No, I wasn't. I was maybe 6 or 7. And we ran into this church near my home, and we ran onto the communion line, and we were just joking around. We were playing. We did not understand the seriousness of what was going on in the church. And we ran up on the communion line, and I remember this African American pastor. He anointed us with oil, with holy oil, and blessed us. And, I thought we were going to get in trouble because, we didn't know anything about communion. But that was my first experience in church with communion, and with understanding a blessing had been put upon my life. And ever since then, I have had that those angels that he put in place, that he helped put in place, stand over me and bless me. And I thank God every day for that. I'm not a Bible spewing person that comes out with verses and all that, but I really will say that God has blessed my life. When I went into foster care, it was very traumatic, but I didn't understand it because when you're in it, you don't know you're in it. You're just in it, and you're going to be, suffering, but you don't know you're suffering. So you just push ahead and you just move on and you do the best that you can. And I too had teachers. I had 2 wonderful teachers who were white. One was Mrs. Abate, my 8th grade teacher, and I remember writing a short story about a dream that I had about being successful. And she just showered me with so much praise. I couldn't believe it. And then I had another teacher in high school. At that time, I was in 8th grade. And then I had another teacher in high school. Her name was Carmen Mason. And she was fabulous. She was like a hippie, but she was like the cool teacher. And she encouraged me. And then I had many wonderful caregivers, social workers, who inspired me. The Rosenbergs at Edwin Gould Services for Children encouraged me to send a letter to, at that time, President Carter. I know it's going way back, but during the International Year of the Child, she encouraged me to send a letter to the Carters about what it's like being in foster care and what can be done to help foster children. And I didn't know anything about children's advocacy until then. And I sent my letter in, and President Carter and Rosalind Carter and Andrew Young were the judges. and they sent me a letter back. I got this letter from the President of the United States. It was 1979 and 1980. And they allowed me to be a children's advocate for the International Year of the Child. And I was allowed, my writing quote unquote career actually began when they asked me to go and interview other foster children throughout the New York City and New York State area. So I went to places like Spofford. St. Barnabas was one of the homes that I had been in, but that had been abolished by the end of the 1970s. But I went to other homes throughout the New York City and New York State area, interviewing young people. And I eventually went to Washington, D.C. to meet with the Carter administration people who were the spokespeople for the International Year of the Child. And we were able to put together a book titled No Time for Mud Pies, which is now in the Congressional Library. And we put together things that would help our people, our children who were suffering, all over the country. And because of the crack epidemic and the AIDS epidemic and so many epidemics, and then there was the pandemic, we are still going through the same problems. And I think that it has gotten worse for our young people today. Homelessness is a tragic thing going on in America. We are at a crossroads right now in America. And it's very important for everyone to find their place, their tribe, their peace. Because if you don't address the things that are going on in your life or with you or with your family or with your people, it will come out, the hurt will come out in many different ways, in ways that could hurt you or other people. So you have to get on top of that as soon as possible. And you have to get the help that you have to find the help that you can get. And there are people out there who can help you. We are seeing it now with the way the world is in terms of the food insecurity and the way that homelessness is. We are seeing people help other people, and we have to find our tribe. How do you find your tribe? You have to get out there and connect with other people. You're not going to find it sitting alone in the house. It's not going to find you that way. You have to reach out to people, especially when you are hurting. That is the best time to reach out to someone and not be afraid to say, help me, please help me. I need help. I need someone to be there in my corner. And you'll be surprised how many people will reach out to you and help you. So a tribe is not just your friends. A tribe is a community of people who are there for you in times of need, as well as in times of laughter and joy. And they say that you should pray. If you have anything that you could do rather than just listen to music, if you pray, things happen. So I believe it. I use the power of prayer, and I don't go to church like I used to. I'll just say that. I don't go to church like I used to, because church has become, for the African American community, I think church has become a business. And once you are in business, you are forced to make money. So I think we have a lot of pastors who are trying to make money rather than give spiritual guidance. And the spiritual guidance is being dropped at the roadside, at the wayside, and people are really in need, and you're not giving the people what they need. And they're coming to church to dance. You can play the music, and you got the drums and the band and all of that, which is fantastic. But if your church is not helping someone, and the pastor is just talking about how much money you're going to make or raise at this fundraiser, you're not doing the work that you're supposed to be doing if you call yourself a pastor. So I try to do some things to help. I was an educator for 27 years in the New York City public school system, and that's also where I found my tribe. But it was very difficult because education in America is extremely, I would say, confusing and hurtful. And many of our children think school is a jail. They call it jail school. So you don't want to be like you're in a jail. And even the teachers felt like they were in a jail because the system is so not only corrupt, but so strangled that you feel lost sometimes. And the job almost put me in the hospital. It was so difficult. It is a difficult job. And you hear those teachers say, "Oh, I love my job. I love my kids." Well, we do, but we suffer along with them because we're right there on the front lines with them. So you have to find your tribe, and your tribe will make you successful. It will help you get through those really difficult times. And these days we are living in difficult times. You know, the billionaires are having a party, but we are the servants, and we are really, I'm not going to say I am, because God has blessed me tremendously. I thank God so much. But there are people who are not um, successful as they would like to be, and they, living from paycheck to paycheck, and not being able to feed your family, and then being told that, the government is shut down, and it's, we don't know when that's going to happen, but they're off playing golf somewhere. So we have to stick together. That is our only way to stick together. Where two are gathered in my name, you know, that phrase from the Bible, it really is true. You have three people praying and doing things, you will make it. You must not be alone, because no man is an island.
And also, let me mention this. Years ago, and I know this because my family came from a neighborhood like this. They came from a neighborhood where the whole block, the whole community, everybody knew each other. Everybody's kids went to the same elementary school. Everybody's kids went to the same junior high school. And the community was one big community, and one kid got out of line could get spanked by anybody. And all the families knew each other. And my great grandmother was the pearl from 227 who sat on the stoop or in the front window on the ground floor and looked out at every kid on the block and either gave them a quick spanking or told their parents what they were doing wrong. So this was back in the day when, you could borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor. You could borrow a stick of butter from your neighbor. If you were short on something, hey, do you have any onions? Yes. Yes, I have onions. Do you have any potatoes? Yes, I have potatoes. Good. I'll give you 2 potatoes for 2 onions. Those kind of things brought us through a time that was really, really rough in New York, because we were still under resourced. We were still outside of the advantages and the opportunities, and with facing discrimination and not really being able to access the opportunities, and even redlining. We were facing redlining. So, with us as a community supporting each other, just neighbor to neighbor, you watch my kids, I'll watch your kids, or however we needed to do it. The community pulled together and made things happen, but now it's like everybody split up, and so many of us don't even know who's living right next to us.
Yeah.
I will say that the community, I'm sorry, go ahead, Eartha.
And I was going to say also too, case in point, I was on a choir for my church, and I was doing PR writing for blackpr.com, and I was just starting into it. And the girl that was right on the choir, we were both altos. I knew she was an alto, but I didn't know she was a publicist, right? And I never thought to even say, hey, what do you do for a living? Or even to connect on the business side of what we were doing, because as long as we were side by side, we're singing together. And I didn't even think to ask anything else outside of that conversation. So I had a potential resource sitting right next to me every single Sunday and practice on Wednesday. And I never asked her. It wasn't until 5 years later that I was like, you are a publicist? Oh yeah, I'm a career publicist, and I do this, that, and the other, and the bop, bop, bop. So sometimes we don't even know we have access to what we need because we don't ask, and we don't even think outside of what's in front of us. I find that when I go through stuff, I have my peoples when I go through stuff that I'm like calling and crying on the phone with them people, and then I have my people that motivate me. That when I need motivation, I say, well, here's to this and here's to that, and motivate, motivate, motivate. But I won't tell the motivating people my problems, and I won't tell the go through stuff people the things I need to be motivated with. So it's like sometimes we sort of have to kind of blend, or even change the conversation, or even do something a little bit differently, just to find out, I don't even know, just to find out, learn more about ourselves, and to realize who our tribes are. Um, and I have to add this real quick. I accidentally happened upon an organization for starting my small business from my best friend Karen. When I was part of Cultivating Our Sisterhood International, I was doing their newsletter. So I was compiling resources for the newsletter, for small businesses, for people who were just starting to get or into the workforce, for free training. My slogan was free is my favorite price, right? So so anywhere that there was a resource, whether it was free education, free classes, HTML programming, marketing, the Henry George School for Social Economics, wherever these free classes were, I would put these resources in this newsletter, right? So one day my best friend said, well, I want to move into a different salon space. Do you know of any places that will give a small business a loan? And I was like, wow, yes, I happen to know about 5. You can go into the economic development office. The Bronx Economic Development Office is in the courthouse. You can go to Project Enterprise to give you seed money. You can go to Women Who Launch. There's an organization called Women Who Launch. So I must have rattled off the top of my head about 5 different resources, right? So one day, I was sitting down with my best friend. And I said, I have this book that I've been writing, and I don't know what to do with it, and it's not finished, and and I don't know if I want to start my own publishing company. I have an agent, but she's not getting me a deal as fast as I would like. And my best friend, in the way that she says it, says, well, what you need to do is reach into them same resources.
Right. That you tell everybody else about. Yeah.
And you need to, find a way to start and launch your own business. It's time to start and launch your own business. And I was like, okay. So, based on a challenge from my best friend, I landed into Project Enterprise, which helped me land into the Harlem Writers Guild. Quite accidentally, because Project Enterprise gave me the loan to start my business. And with the loan, I paid for my editor from a former teacher, Frederick Douglass. And my teacher gave me an invitation into the Harlem Writers Guild. So it all went kind of full circle. But I didn't even know I needed the Harlem Writers Guild until I was in it. I knew I always wanted to be part of the Harlem Writers Guild because my favorite authors were Terry McMillan and Valerie Wilson Wesley. So I was like, ooh, I would read their bios and they would say, thank you to the Harlem Writers Guild. I'd be like, ooh, where is this Harlem Writers Guild? How do you find it? How do you see it? Where do you get it? Where did they don't, how do you find them? I've never seen them anywhere. I just heard about them. They're like an urban legend, but, little did I know I was sitting every week with a member of the Harlem Writers Guild. As a matter of fact, the Frederick Douglass Creative Arts Center had about 3 or 4 instructors there that were members of the Harlem Writers Guild, and I was taking their classes and didn't know they were members of the Harlem Writers Guild. So insofar as the writing, there are resources almost everywhere for every different kind of writing you would want to do. There is the New York Foundation for the Arts as a resource. There is the National Writers Union as a resource. There's the Women's Poetry Salon as a resource. There is what's Kathy's group, CC?
PEN. It's PEN, but not PEN America. It's
Power in the pen.
right.
There's power in the pen, and there's the Harlem Writers Guild. It's knowing where you want to be with your art, what you want to do with your art, and where you want to take it, how you want to develop
Mhm.
it, and the right space that feels right for you. You know, so
Yeah.
it's a journey, and it's a journey, and you got to kind of feel your way through to find out what works specifically for the type of writing you want to do and the direction that you want to go and the type of support that you need.
And one thing that I learned also is even if you're in your tribe, I had to practice this because if someone made me, if I got upset, I'd go to another person and say, you know, so and so, you know what she did, you know what she said. She's like, and that leads into a lot of anger and gossip, and it could mess up your career. So I started using this affirmation: watch your thoughts; they become your words. Watch your words; they become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. That was from Lao Tzu. And you really have to practice that. It's something you have to practice daily because of the way that the world is. You could easily find yourself, in a squirmish position where you're trying to work your way out of it after you've said something like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So now I'm learning that even though you are in a tribe, and you found your tribe and your people, but you still have to work with the personalities of the people in your tribe so that you are always humble and tactful and kind, because it could really put you on a different path than what the universe or what God has for you. So that's one thing that I'm learning with my tribe. And I learned a lot of things from listening and watching other professionals, particularly women, from how they dress to how they deal with difficult people, how they love themselves. And that has helped a lot because once you can see that, you can sort of move forward, and it helps you, you know, become better at who you are. It helps you become a better person. So we need that inspiration. And, it's a great thing to be able to just call someone up at 3 in the morning. I mean, I called my friend up because I saw what about I called my friend at 5 o'clock in the morning, screaming about a water bug in my bathroom. It's like, I don't know what to do. How do I kill it? What do I do? And she said, girl, get a slipper and throw it at it and keep doing it until it's dead. And I mean, this is like 5 o'clock in the morning. Most people would hang up the phone on you. It's like, what's the matter with you? What are you crazy? But those are some of the things that help you along the way. And that was just a little thing. But knowing that I could do that, and she did cuss me out, and she loved me anyway. It's like, you my girl, I love you, but don't call me 5 in the morning. But it helped. It helps a lot to have people that you can go to. And if you feel like you don't have anyone, reach out to someone you know, and you'd be surprised how fast they will come to your aid. You would really be surprised, you know. So that's what I'm learning now. And you never stop learning. You still
Yeah,
learn.
yeah,
You learn and you adjust. I have to adjust my mouth.
yeah, and I get it, and I also get the part about reaching out, because I'm one of those people that you could call at 5 o'clock in the morning in an emergency, but I'm one of those people that if 5 o'clock in the morning I'm having an emergency, I wouldn't call anybody, you know.
You can call
So
me.
hmm, the thing is,
I wake up. I'll be a little drowsy, but I wake up.
right, but the thing about it is, like, at 5 in the morning, I would be thinking, "Oh, I can't call anybody. It's 5 o'clock in the morning," and I'm stuck in that space. you know. But whereas somebody called me 5 o'clock in the morning, like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
You know. But I'm having a moment 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, darn, I can't call anybody. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, you know. So sometimes we gotta get out of our own heads to kind of just really assess what's going on, what we need, where we can go, who we can call, what's the best way to go about doing a certain thing. And sometimes that's a conversation with somebody. And sometimes it is a conversation. It's just, hey, what's this? What's that? Are you going here? Do you know this? Do you know that? I can't tell you how many times Monet has put me on track to something that I was looking to do. Um, Even when I was in the process of writing a book, and I was frustrated by the fact that I had an agent and it wasn't going anywhere, or it just seemed to be stalled. Monet gave me an opportunity to write a blog through a nonprofit called Writing and Waiting. You know, so in that regard, it helped me get over the frustration of having this book but not accomplishing anything, having this manuscript and it's just sitting there collecting dust. You know, that part of it was really, really frustrating. And her blog allowed me to kind of put those feelings somewhere and at least feel like I was putting it somewhere constructively and allowing that content to help somebody else.
Well, yeah, you're talking about Future Executives, which for me was an organization that I could say, I mean, as I'm hearing you all talk, my tribe was when I was a child. I was very adorned and sort of shaped by my community. I lived in Crown Heights at the time. It was a Hasidic, and some Orthodox, some non-Jew Orthodox, but Jewish and African American community. And I would come home from school and I would go straight to the diner downstairs. They were called the sisters, and one of them was married, so it was a sister and a husband, and they were called the sisters. And I would go there and get a burger and fries every day and sit and talk about my day at school, because my grandmother was very, when she wasn't doing her industry stuff and her fashion shows and her managing, she was working a full-time job, and oftentimes she would work overtime, sometimes 12 hours, and would not make it home until I was asleep, to make sure that we were taken care of. I had when I was a young child, I was going to a school outside of my area, downtown Brooklyn, and I had a cab drive to my school every day. So I was 5, 6, 7, 8, going in a cab. So Mr. Bob became my friend, because he was my cab driver every single morning. I don't remember a morning that he did not drive me to school. So he was my family. Then I had someone who, who worked assistant with the landlord, who every Sunday, one of my chores, one of my big girl chores, at 4 or 5, I can remember going to the store to pick up the Sunday Daily News for the family. That was my thing. And I would get to go outside and cross the street and say hello to everybody and be in the bodega and learn a little bit of Espanol. And then, take my butt back home with the 50 cent, my 25 cent, 50 cent Sunday Daily News. And I'd be able to take out the comics because I went to the store to get it. So so that was sort of what my tribe was. And I think that oftentimes you're a part of a tribe and then that tribe lets you go. That tribe has poured into you in a way that they then let you go into the world. And so my next community was when I was in the entertainment business. I worked in the college radio station at my school. I was the MD, music director, and program director. The men hated me. They actually sabotaged me. They cut the cords one time when when the leader was gone. I forgot what his role is, but anyway, I was a program director. He was the director of the whole radio station, and he was going away from the weekend. Of course, we had a meeting, and everybody knew he was going away from the weekend. They cut the cords and everything. And I was like, "Oh, y'all think y'all shutting me down?" Like they didn't realize I had skills like that. So I ended up. This is back in the day, people, when you had to actually rewire things, and so I had to rewire for the radio station to be back on. And when it was back on, I kind of knew who it was because everybody, those particular guys were like, "Oh, it's on. Oh, I have to show up for my session." Yeah, what did you think? Like, you still have the radio's on. Is it? It's like anybody gonna hear it? Yeah, everybody's gonna hear it because I fixed it. Oh, you fixed it. Oh, you fixed it. You fixed it. What did you? Oh, you fixed it. What did you have to fix? Oh no, you know exactly what I had to fix. You know what I mean? So these are the things that when I started in the radio station, and I, as the music director, I had to call all the record labels and try to get them to send us music. And I would be like, "Hey, this is Monet, DJ Monet from WCOW and Old West Ferry, SUNY Old West Ferry." A lot of people knew us, Chubb Rock went there, Kumo D went there. So we kind of Wu-Tang Clan always hang up there. RZA was always up there. Shout out to RZA. I'll Be Sure used to come to our school all the time. We had a lot of celebrities that were just Chris Rock was at our school all the time. Chris Rock was at our school all the time. Practicing his set. You probably don't even remember Eartha. A lot of the
I used to work all the time.
Chris Rock.
I used to work all the time.
And I was in the community. I was so I would say you go to a college, have that college experience. Like my son went to NYU. He didn't have that college experience. When you have a resource, a college that has resources like that, you have that experience. So at that point, that radio station was part of the development of my tribe into the music industry. And I was on the phone so I was always on the phone. And then I ended up talking to Fred Jackson. At the time he worked at Electa, and he was like, Electa Records. He was like, "So what are you doing this summer?" I'm like, "You know me, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be everywhere." And he was like, "Yeah, but I mean, like, what you doing for money?" I was like, "Money? Yeah, I got money, I only because my grandmother spoiled me." I was like, "I got money, I don't even." He's like, "Well, do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, okay." So then that started like my sophomore year. Every summer I would then go and work an internship at Warner Brothers. And from there it just went, and I was doing copywriting, and the kind of writing I was always doing writing. So I was doing copywriting, and then I went into, the descriptions that you saw on the shows. So if you saw anything from VH1, Nickelodeon, or MTV back in the day, I may have been the writer of that description of that particular show that you saw on the TV, what used to be TV Guide. So it would be like, MTV Live. Today Carlson is going to have guest Puff Daddy with his new group Total. They will sing one song, like this description. And you'd be like, "Okay, I think I'm going to watch that." At one point we used to have a guide that would tell us what we were about to watch, and we would make a decision on whether or not we would watch it, people. So that was some of the work, that writing, once again, the writing that I was doing. That's why I call myself a writer at large, because I've written in so many different genres and so many different ways. I ghost wrote some speeches for people, but the tribe was the music industry. And I kind of saw that we were in the entertainment business. We were at a certain level, and we had a few people make it to the top level. And that's when I was like, "Okay, well, what is going on here? This is a shucking and jiving. This is like, I'm 20, so I'm all loud and proud. What's this shucking and jiving?" And once again, my background, my grandmother worked in the business, and I was like, I know for a fact that we can do better than this. My grandmother was doing, what I'm saying? So I knew what I knew, but I couldn't really make other people understand that because I had been raised that way. It was normal to me. So I said, we need to start an organization. And I had several meetings, and Chris Washington, he's known as the legendary Chris Washington. I was like, we need a name for this. And he was like, Future Executives. And I was like, I like that. That's it. And I was like, that says it all. That's it. That's all. So then we would meet and try to, with the little knowledge we had, we would try to broaden everybody in the room, everybody at the table, everybody in the space. At one time it was 50 people, then it went down to like 40, and then it went down to 30, and then it kind of just kept trickling down. But we started strong. We just didn't have a lot of people who were in for the long haul. And then it morphed for me. It was like, okay, well, enough of trying to help us out, because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. I want to expand this to children. And I know at 8 years old, I knew what I was doing. So we looked at 8 to 25, and we did 8 to 13 and 14 to 18 tiers, and then 19 to 25 tier, and really imparting different empowerment tools through our network, of people that we've met along the way. And Eartha was actually one of those people that I considered a vital part of the network, who was a writer. And then there were other people who were executives. And then there were other people who were not executives, who were in engineering. But the whole point was, everybody doesn't need to go to college. Most of our billionaires did not finish or attend college. And so that says something about the lack of indoctrination, that when you're indoctrinated, it sort of stifles your creativity. So the lack of indoctrination, your imagination is very vast, but also the resources that you have without that indoctrination. So a lot of our communities don't have multimillionaires or a garage that you can start a computer system in. We're living in apartment buildings, and we're living in, spaces and places where people give what they can, but those entrepreneurial resources are not necessarily accessible in our communities. So that was what I felt like Future Executives could be, sort of like this large global conglomerate of, oh, you need that? Okay, hold on one second. Let me get on the phone. And because of my relationships with people pick up the phone, or or back in the day, they, the line is busy, or and I would try to catch them another way, whether it be beeping them, then the beepers came around, but people would get back to me, and I'd be like, I have a 12-year-old who's interested in nursing. Will you be her pen pal, so that she can learn about nursing, and she can and then you can learn about some of the things that's going on in her life? Sure. Can you commit to 6 months? Sure. So these were some of the things that we did. And then, I have some kids, and I take them to when I was a teacher at one time, and then I became an administrator. I took them to MTV Live, and they lost their minds. Puffy had to be there, happened to be there that day, and I happened to have had a relationship with him prior to, all the things that are happening now, and they lost their minds. And then we went to Vibe, and they got to see that not only do you have to be a writer at Vibe, but you could be a fashion person at Vibe, you could be a photographer, you could be, and so then that became the I don't want to be a rapper panel. I don't want to be a rapper, alternative careers and entertainment. So we coined that. And then people got to see, and then their children got to see, and the parents got to see, and educators got to see that the entertainment business is a business, honey. And there are a lot of people. You have lighting, you have stage management, you have production, you have editing, you have audio, you have photographers, you have writers, you have all of these other people that make this industry a business. And so the I don't want to be a rapper, but basically I don't want to be in the front. I want to be in the back, because they get paid. They get paid, and they get paid well. And from there, I was able to have them experience Some of them still wanted to be a basketball player. Okay, whatever. Let's go to a basketball game and I'm going to have you talk to a basketball player and he's going to talk to you
Mm.
about financial literacy. Or you want, this is the lifestyle you want. Let's do a scavenger hunt around Madison Square Garden before it opens and we're going to take you to all the stores and I'm going to give you a budget of $200 for the night and let's see what you can get. Okay, now that you had $200 for the night, how much money would you have to make to be able to have $200 to actually go to a game and spend in one night? How much money would you have to make? Okay, now you know how much money you would have to make. What kind of job would you have to have $200 over what you make every month, or how many times you want to go to a basketball game? Every week? Every week. Okay, $200 every week. I just let them go and let them, oh my gosh, I need this much. Oh yeah, so what you need to do? I need to do this. Oh yeah, so what's going to have to happen in school? Well, I'm going to need to have to, oh wow, yeah, you better get it together. You're going to be very unhappy, right? So these are the kind of things that I wanted to expose people. I feel like I became a sort of huge tent of a tribe for people that could come in and out and be a resource. So I may not have had a tribe, but I would say I'm a mother tribe of a vast amount of people.
Yeah, I went through similar experiences. It seems like we've had similar experiences. I worked before I became an educator. I worked for a music publication and a Black romance publication. I got an opportunity to work with Cynthia Horner from Right On magazine, and Steve Ivory from Black Beat magazine. I got a chance to meet Dougie Fresh. I interviewed him once, and the tape didn't work. The tape recorder didn't work throughout the entire interview.
Dougie
and when
used
it was
to come
over,
school all the time. New Edition, all of them, like
LL Cool J.
I was working. I didn't even know that.
It was amazing. So today we got some new folks that are just as good. Missy Elliott, Monet. There's so many different artists now. And yes, the entertainment business is a business of entertaining and on all levels. It really is true.
So for me, I never really had a tribe, and I think that's why I long to try to do that for people as much as I can. I met someone. I was at the Grambling games, whatever they call it. What they call it
now, Monet. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we are winding down to the last minutes and seconds of
great
our
conversation.
If we could put this conversation up another day with just you two, because there's a lot here and there's a lot that we touched on, and I would love to kind of circle back and continue this conversation. So let me know like what day works, well for both of you for a future time. But for now, let's thank Soul City Network for having us and allowing us this time to have this conversation for Good Morning Community. And I thank my lovely, lovely guests, Miss Simone Monet Walls of Future Executives, futureexecutives.org, and Miss Judy C. Andrews, who is an author, a retired educator, and both of you women are phenomenal in and of itself. I consider you both beacons in what you do, because you lead by example, you lead by energy, you lead by nurturing others and by leading others in your community, just by the nature of what you do, how you do it, and when you do it, and how you are. I thank you both for being part of my life, and I definitely thank you both for being part of this conversation.
Same here.
Well, thank you. Just a note: we don't have future executives anymore. Our youth decided that they don't do websites, so we flow with them. So we are on future execs and Future Executives Incorporated on Facebook, at Future Execs on all other platforms.
Gotcha. But thank you, Simone Monet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And
thank you, Eartha. Thank you, Matt.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we sign off.
You, Matt.
Before we sign off, it's at It Is Monet on
Yes.
Instagram, and at
Correct.
judy.c.andrews on Instagram. And I am
Mhm.
at Eartha Tone on Instagram and other platforms at Eartha Tone, EARTHATONE. And that's at Judy C, JUDY, initial C, dot Andrews, ANDREWS. And at It Is Monet is at ITISMONET, because she spells her name with an ET and not a Y. So there you have
Correct. The
it.
French way. Parle français. Not ghetto été. No, let me stop.
I don't know any
I don't know
French
nothing about no
except French
AY,
fries
baby.
and bonjour.
I
And
know we
sure.
That's some Ebonics. And I love my Ebonics, but that's what it is.
Yes.
Well, my French, I got over Three's Company.
Oh. Classy.
But thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you again, Soul City Network, for having us. And you enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.